Good morning. Ooh, I'm hiding behind things this morning. Good morning. Coffee? I think. Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. How y'all doing this morning?
God, see sunshine.
Yeah, what's
Woo-hoo!
what's that yellow thing out in the sky? What is it? Huh?
Whoa, I see a pretty purple flower we got growing out there too that I have no idea what it is. We're gonna have to go exploring.
It's a pretty purple flower.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunday morning. Welcome to sunny Sunday. I don't know what's up with that. Good morning, Lindy.
Good morning, Lindy.
Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Paul.
Aaron says rain. No.
No.
For the first time in a long while.
No way.
No rain.
Woo-hoo.
I think Chris is confused. He says, no rain? I'm worried. We went out yesterday. We rode our bikes. We went down to the psychic and holistic fair that was being held at Gardner Park, and I can feel like all the smoke from the wildfires in Canada that have blown across here. Just
Yeah.
maybe a little tougher to breathe, but it looks like the rain last night maybe cleared it out a little bit. We were riding our bikes back. We stopped at Great Outdoors because Danielle was looking at shoes. So Great Outdoors is, I don't know, not very far from our house. The bike ride that we take, maybe it's like a mile and a half or something.
Yeah.
And right as we were getting ready to leave, the cashier said, "Oh, it looks like it's going to rain out there." And we're like, "Oh, bye."
Yeah.
And we
Thank
got
God we did,
maybe
right?
halfway there, and we felt our first sprinkle. And we got back to the house just before it started pouring. But,
And thunder. Remember, we got home and
the thunder
thunder
was right. Yeah, I never heard the thunder again, though. Did you? I only heard it when we
got
were...
inside. I heard it maybe a couple more times, and then it wasn't very long.
Yeah. Good morning, Al.
Good morning, Al.
Do 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 do. All I can say is that my life is pretty plain. I like watching the puddles gather rain. On the show this morning, we have singer-songwriter Dan Cloutier from the Boston area. Dan just put out a brand new album. Ooh, hey, look at me over here. Dan just put out a new album called The Iceberg, and it's a very interesting story in which he traveled to see actual icebergs to write the music and to be inspired by it, and even to record a little bit of stuff overlooking an iceberg. It's a really neat story. Dan's a great singer-songwriter. I met him in Framingham, Massachusetts a few years ago. We'll try to determine that. But we're going to chat with him about his new album, The Iceberg, which is available now everywhere icebergs are sold. No, on Apple Music and Spotify and all that jazz. Actually, if you look in the link of the description of this video, there's a link to Dan's website. And, oh, that's heavy. It's heavy coffee. And you can see exactly all about Dan Cloutier and his music. But we're also going to talk to him, so you're going to learn a lot. But I need coffee so I can get my oh my gosh.
Are you okay?
Ow!
Did you just burn yourself?
Yeah.
Oh no, you got all over your computer.
Yeah.
What's going on here, Todd?
I don't know, it just shot.
It's here, take part of this.
It just, did you guys see that? Did
Here.
you see the coffee maker tried to attack me? What was that?
I don't know.
It just kind of shot out.
Probably because you get a lot in there.
Yeah, I've noticed if you go over 8 cups,
It starts having a problem.
it's all
Do I
over.
need to go out and get you more paper towels
I'm
here in a minute?
Well, I don't know. I'm a little worried about how much to push on my keyboard right now.
Be careful, yeah.
I don't want to. All right. Well, I think think we got cleaned it up. What was I saying before I was interrupted by coffee?
I don't know, actually.
Tristan says, good morning, you crazy Todd and lovely Danielle.
Good morning, Tristan.
Congratulations. Tristan's team took second place in basketball at the
wow.
Special Olympics yesterday.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Well,
excited.
he sent me some pictures, but we've got our guest waiting on the line, so I don't want to keep him waiting too much. So maybe next week we'll show those pictures. Before we bring Dan on, and I don't want to wait too long because I want to have a good long conversation with Dan. I did tell you guys that I have some shows coming up, and I've got a full list of shows so far if you want to see me this summer. By the way, coffee this morning. Aaron, look at that.
Yeah.
It is not focusing very much, but Ethiopian Sidmo. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But Aaron gave us this in Chelmsford, Massachusetts.
Yeah. All these coffees.
That's good coffee. Mm-hmm. All right. Shows. Drum roll. Whoop-de-doo! Yeah. Okay, it's official, finally. I've been working on this show for like 2 months. It is official. Livingston Taylor with special guest moi, in Conway, New Hampshire at the Majestic Theater, Saturday, June 28th. Here's a full list of what I've got coming up. June 22nd, which is a couple weekends from now. NEK Pride Fest, June 28th. Livingston Taylor with Todd Pronto at the Majestic Theater. July 12th, the NEKHO and Halo Brewfest. August 9th, the 21 Songwriters Festival in Burlington. August 16th at the Haskell Free Opera House and Library. We've got this show right here. Blues Night at the Haskell Opera House. Don Cherie and Mr. Oscar Wilson. And August 28th, the Champlain Valley Fair. That is also official. We have so many shows. I don't even know what to do with myself.
What about your songwriters contest?
Yeah, that's on there.
Oh, you said
It's not a contest.
Not a contest, but I mean a festival.
Festival. Yeah, it's on there.
Oh, I just didn't hear it.
It's on there. It's on there. Cartoons. Let's do cartoons real quick, and then let's get our guest online here. Tips. Iceberg. That reminds me, I have to defrost my freezer. Yeah.
I was gonna say you needed some iceberg lettuce.
Oh yes. Cartoons. Midlife Thesis. We're gonna go through the cartoons really quick. I don't want to keep Dan waiting too much longer. Midlife Thesis. Whoop-de-doo.net. That is the website where you can find my cartoons. You can find them also on Instagram and Facebook and Reddit at Midlife Thesis Cartoons. And they're in the newspaper as well. Oh yeah, hats off to the graduates. That's happening next weekend. The Newport Daily Express also prints my cartoon. Yeah, whoa, look at that one. That one's big today. There's the digitized version for you. I feel like I got so much stuff going on. All right, that was the cartoon that happened on Wednesday. And oh yeah, the cartoons come out on Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, by the way. And this was Wednesday's cartoon. This one right here was Friday's cartoon. I think this one goes into the instant classic realm.
Yep.
Somebody wrote on Reddit, sick burn. I'm going to have to write that down. Hey, look, it's Charlie Brown all grown up. Yeah. And then on Sunday, of course, we do the full Sunday comic, the Sunday strip. And here's that one. And I'll read it for you because it's a big comic, but I have to make it really small to fit on the screen. So, the therapist says, "You look irritated today, Marty." And Marty says, "The optometrist wants me to get reading glasses." "And that bothers you?" "Of course. I don't even need them." "Could it be that you don't want reading glasses because it reminds you that you're getting older?" "No, that's not it. It's just, I don't like to read." "Now, if they want to prescribe me television glasses, that would actually be helpful. I suppose I'd be okay with those." But love it. Aaron's got some of the Ethiopian coffee this morning.
Nice.
Yum. Good morning, Maxine.
Good morning,
Good
Maxine.
morning, Marie.
Good morning, Marie.
Chris Roy says I need another Dodge Dart to tour in. You know, when Dodge reintroduced the Dodge Dart and it looked like a Chevy Cavalier, I actually thought about maybe getting one. But then they discontinued pretty quick. I'm still a little mad that Dodge didn't take my song for their commercials.
Yeah.
I could have changed it to, 2012 Dodge Dart. But alas, I did not. Okay. You want to do let's get Dan on here. He's been patiently waiting. Singer-songwriter Dan Cloutier. I hope I'm saying his name right. We'll ask him. From the greater Boston area, shall we say. We don't want to divulge his exact location for security reasons. We don't want any crazy Coffee with Todd fans going down and anyway, get my ear buddies in, take another sip of the coffee. And let's bring our guest on and let's listen to his story, listen to him sing, and learn all about the iceberg while Tim defrosts his freezer. All right, if I hit the right button, Dan will appear. Let's try this. Joining us this morning is singer-songwriter Dan Cloutier from Massachusetts, and I'm just gonna bring him right on the screen before I even read my notes or anything. Let's do it. There we go. There he is. What's up?
Good to see you, man.
Did I get your name right?
You nailed it. Yeah, come on now.
Yes.
There's no right or wrong with my name. I'm used to it my whole life.
I was gonna read your whole bio with the picture up. I said I'll just do it with Dan on there. So Dan has shared the stage with I'm very jealous of this, by the way, John Hyatt and Richie Havens and our mutual friend Ellis Paul. He's performed throughout the greater Boston area for years. And are you still with the Great Molasses Flood, or is that just a band that is an occasional?
I guess it's an occasional thing.
Yeah.
I see those people all the time. They're the band. They're backing me up on my new album. So it's basically kind of like the Great Molasses Flood album, but we call ourselves that at times. But
it's a great name.
It's fun. It's fun. It's a good one.
I met Dan. Oh boy, we're probably going back to 2017 or 18, maybe.
Yeah, 10 years ago, probably, or maybe 8 or 9, right?
Yeah, it was definitely pre-COVID, and then it was a good chunk of time pre-COVID. Isn't it crazy that that's how we measure time now? Is it like pre-COVID or post-COVID?
Yeah, if I explained how I met you, I've been like, I met him before COVID and was probably a good chunk of. That's exactly how you measure it. Probably like an equal COVID away from COVID.
It's so weird.
It is weird.
Oh man.
Because time was so radically different during that season of life.
It was.
So
I think we forget how much things changed during that, but it feels mostly back to normal now, I suppose.
Yeah, mostly with the lessons learned, positive and negative, I guess. I don't know.
Well, hopefully. I'll tell you this story, not to gross anybody out, but we went down sort of your way a couple weeks ago to do a show, and I stopped at the Hooksett, New Hampshire, gas station and drive-through liquor store or whatever they've got going on there. And I went into the bathroom at with roughly about 10 other gentlemen at the same time. And I watched them, and only 3 of us washed our hands when we were leaving.
That's
Yeah, so I was like, man, how quickly we forget. Which kind of grossed me out. And then I was like, well, I don't want to go get anything that is like buffet style food.
Well, maybe the germs make you stronger in this season when there's not a pandemic going on. I don't
Maybe. Well, anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're talking about Dan. Dan's a singer-songwriter from what part of Massachusetts? It's not proper Boston, right?
No, I grew up in like a town. Well, I grew up in Hopkinton, which is the start of the marathon, so 26 miles west. And I still live in that general area. Live in a little town called Upton, but it's right between Worcester and Boston. I mean, like growing up, it's always like, where are you from? Boston. Like when I traveled overseas and I lived overseas during college, it was people would ask me, where are you from? Well, Boston. And then half of them wouldn't even know what that is. They'd be like, what's that? And I'd be like, that's like. And I'd always feel the most shame. I'd be like, wow, 3 hours north of New York City. They're like, oh, New York. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's it. They didn't know Boston overseas.
Well, only in like parts of like Turkey and parts of Jordan where I was. It was like pretty rural stuff. It was like off the beaten path stuff.
It's not like you were in the UK.
No.
Because they definitely know about Boston over there.
Yes. And Europe does too. But yeah, it was more off the beaten path.
Yeah, because over there, they're pretty mad about that whole tea thing that you guys did.
Yeah, it happened.
Yeah. So I met you in Framingham, which is also, I guess, a suburb.
Yeah, Framingham's part of the Boston Marathon route too. So that is at the 10-mile mark. So yeah, this is how I measure things growing up where I grew up.
No, it makes sense. I mean, we measure things similar here, except like we measure it by farms. Yeah, that
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, if you wanted to go skiing at Jay Peak, I'd be like, that's like 7 farms from where I live.
That's great. Yeah, so Todd came in and I used to run a folk open mic at an art center in Framingham, and Todd came in as a featured act and just blew us away. Great songwriter. So it's really great that that's one of the benefits, mostly negative stuff from social media, but one of the benefits is that you get to stay in contact with the people that you run into, especially as a musician. So it's awesome to be invited to talk to you, man. This is fun.
Yeah, well, when I went to reach out to you, I went on to Messenger, and I'd sent you a message maybe in 2019 or something, and I also run a public access television station, and you had recorded some show somewhere that a public access station aired, and we kind of all share programming, and we have a music section, and I'm just walking through the lobby, and I look up, and there's Dan on the TV, and I don't remember this, but I took a picture of it. And the last time we talked, I sent you a picture, and I was like, "Hey, look who I saw on TV today."
That is funny. Yeah, it's public access is a funny thing.
Yeah, it is. Well, this show will be on public access, so there's a few stations in Massachusetts that actually air this show. So I'll have to let you know which ones they are. But I know there's one in Salem.
Oh, that's super fun.
And
I love it.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's the best thing about the public access market. So in the fall, I'm actually going to be starting a songwriter series, like on the Hopkinton cable access. So it's just fun. It's a way to get.
Let me know when you do, because up here at NEK TV, we will air it.
That'd be super fun. Yeah, awesome.
Sweet. So we're here to talk about, Dan has a new album, but I want to wait just a few minutes before we talk about the new album, just so we can like properly introduce you to our audience. So if you were to give us the who is Dan pitch, what would you tell? Who are you, Dan?
Who am I? Well, I am a singer-songwriter, and that's my passion in music. I love being a songwriter, and I love building community. So I ran open mics for a long time in Framingham, and then in Somerville and Boston. In terms of my own music stuff, the reason why I'm here is that I just released a brand new album called The Iceberg, which I traveled to Greenland and Newfoundland, and it was this big crowd-funded thing. It's this big adventure that I've been on, which is really a lot of fun. But yeah, I just love art, I love community, and I love songwriting. So I think that's the basic gist,
How long have you been? You've put out what? Your most current album is what? Your 4th album? Am I correct?
Yeah, it's my 4th. You're right. It's my 5th proper album. There's, the old ones you don't want to talk about as much, right?
No.
There's like 3. Yeah. There's 3 that I'm like pretty proud of, and then there's the other 2 I'll talk about them, but I'm not like gonna bring them up.
Right. They're part of your history, but I totally understand that.
And it makes sense because the first album you do, you're green. You don't know what you're doing, So, and I'm proud of that. I think I try not to be embarrassed by that because it's part of the process. It's the process that's got me here, It
is, and there's also some magic that happens. Like, what I've recently been doing is I have, similar to you, I have like 2 albums that if you didn't buy them in physical media when I put them out, you will never hear them. Yeah. But I've been kind of going through some old songs that I wrote, from like 17 to maybe 24, before I knew anything. Not that I know stuff now, but like I guess I'm talking about like musical theory and just the experience of writing. And there's a lot of terrible stuff, but sometimes you kind of just surprise yourself as like a young, naive person. You're like, wow, I wrote that when I was 18. How? Yeah,
so and I think when you do songwriting for a long time, like 20 years, like you've been doing it for as long as me, so it's you can become too good at it. Does that make any sense? Like you're too smart, like so it loses parts of it, becomes more robotic and loses part of that humanity. When you're a young songwriter, like you're really just throwing stuff at a wall.
It's like you overthink stuff now, or
you're just too perfect. Like the rhyme is perfect, but it's almost like the unperfect rhyme works better in terms of like expressing humanity. Sure. I don't know.
Whenever I discover a new artist or a new to me artist, right, I like to listen to their latest work, and then I go all the way back and I find the oldest album possible. Yeah. Just to hear that contrast. But it's so true that like most artists' earlier career is more beloved by people. I not all the time, but like, I don't know. It's like, I don't believe that there's a cutoff. Like once you hit 40, you can't create great art anymore. But like Bob Dylan, for instance, certainly his earlier stuff is better than what he's doing now, even though what he's doing now is still better than what 98% of people can do.
Well, right, because he had that famous 60 Minutes interview. I'm a big Dylan guy, so I can get into it. But like 20 years ago, he was interviewed by 60 Minutes, and he was even saying himself, like he was quoting like, "It's all right, Mom, I'm only bleeding," and he's like, I can't do this anymore. Like these lyrics are so beyond me, like. But there's something about your 20s, man. Like like there's something about like before your brain is like solid when you're 25, right? Like your brain like stops growing at 25 or something. Anyways, that's what I've heard. There's something about that plasticity in those earlier years,
Huh.
I don't know. It's interesting.
So it's all the more reason to never grow up.
All the more reason.
That's what I think. I like to try to embrace childhood as much as possible, and I don't think it's silly to still like things that I did when I was a child.
No, I think it's so smart because I think the gift of creativity, right, is what kids are just so much better than adults at.
Yeah.
And it's almost like our society teaches us not to be creative over time anymore, and you have to like really make a lot of effort and a lot of thought to like try to let go of that. And as any creative person, you like even what you're doing here with this, the podcast or your cartoons, you really almost have to like work your way back to that state, right? Of being willing to try, not being afraid, not being a critic of yourself, like just putting yourself out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, criticism and rejection is 80% of what we do as artists, I think.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to let that roll off your back. And it's easier said than done.
Yes.
Yes. But
we've been trained well to be not like ourselves,
Yeah. I'd say if somebody asks you, like, what's the job of a performing songwriter? I would say that the first job is to write songs, and the second job is to get good at hearing the word no. Because that's always what the word is. Hey, do you need an opening act? No, okay. Hey, can I play? No, okay. In your other life too, you also, I wrote it down, you work with, is it a respite center? Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, that's right. So that's actually where I am right now. I'm in the conference room of where I work. I work
cool.
with adults and children with disabilities
That's
at a
amazing.
wonderful place in Hopkinton called the Michael Lisnow Respite Center. It has lots of different programs. I've been there for over 20 years. I graduated college and I started working here, figuring I'd go back to school and become a professor in history. That's what my degree was in. But I just love the people. And one of the great things about it is that I get to do, I'm the executive administrator right now here. So I do all the paperwork and contracts with the state, and it's, that's not the fun part of my work, but every day I go into the program and I run either a music class, we do a songwriting class on Wednesdays, and then on Fridays I do a hiking club too, which is fun. So I'm in the office like 75% of the time doing the not fun stuff, but I get to hang out with my friends. It's a great place.
Well, let's talk about your new album. That's why you're here, right?
Yeah, it's been quite a ride. It's been a lot of fun.
So this is a picture from the album release party right here.
Yeah, so I have to explain the story of this album.
Yes, please do.
It kind of goes back to COVID. During COVID, I also lost my dad to a really fast-moving cancer, and a family member went through some real serious, mental health struggles, which kind of brought me down too. So it was a time of hardship, right? But we all went through the hardship of COVID, and then my dad and other stuff. So really unsteady time. But I'd written a song right before COVID called "The Iceberg," but an iceberg is, and oftentimes in the mental health world, is used as you can only see what's on top. You don't know what people are struggling with underneath and what they're holding. So I started to think about this idea of maybe there's an album there, because I was writing all these songs that were like partially healing to me, right? These were songs that I were writing in the space of when I was healing from my own grief and my own mourning and loss. So I had this idea about a year and a half ago, be like, well, how about instead of just doing an album again? Because what does that even mean? You're an artist. How do you get somebody to pay attention to a musical album? Everyone's just listening to singles. I love albums, so I grew up, loving albums, and I
do
love
too.
listening. I think it's a great art form. So, but this idea of an iceberg, and I knew that I was going to call the album "The Iceberg." I thought, well, how about if part of this album is also me going on an adventure to find an iceberg with my fans, right? So I did a Kickstarter campaign, and the idea was that if I was able to raise $6,000, I could go to Newfoundland, and if I had a stretch goal of raising $10,000, I could go to Greenland. And if I reached either of those goals, I would have just gone by myself, brought my MacBook and recorded a couple songs, and then put them on the album and stuff like that. But the crowdsourcing kind of went crazy, and I raised well over $20,000, which is really crazy. It wasn't expected. And I remember my wife before I launched it, she goes because I've done these before, I've done crowdfunding before, and I raised $5,000 or $6,000 for my other albums. Great money and great support from my family and friends and my fans. Not just family. I do have some fans, which is fun, but it went so far beyond. And it kind of, I think people like the idea of the iceberg. They knew I'd gone through a hard season of life. A lot of people love my dad too, right? He was a minister here in Massachusetts, so it's this really cool supported thing. And I was able to take my family to Newfoundland for our summer vacation, and then I took me and my recording engineer to Greenland last summer to work on the album. So in Newfoundland I recorded one song, in St. John's, and then in Greenland I recorded the first and last song on the album. And then the other songs are recorded with my band, The Great Molasses Flood, in Worcester at Clark University in their big studio. So it was an amazing adventure. I mean, to be able to be there in Greenland. So you saw the photo of me just looking at this iceberg.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that Greenland or Newfoundland?
That's Greenland, yeah.
Okay.
So in Newfoundland, they have icebergs, but that iceberg we're looking at there is bigger than a city block. From the water up to the top of it is 250 feet.
Wow.
And then you only see 10%, between 15 and 10% on top. The rest of it's underneath. But we went to this, because once I was okay, I guess I could go to Greenland, which was wild to think about.
Yeah.
I was where am I going to go in Greenland? Because Greenland's huge. It's the size of here's Greenland. So I'm on this side. So this is Maine, right? And then all the way down here would be South Carolina. So that's how big that coast is.
Oh, so it's the
huge.
East Coast, basically.
It's the East Coast, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not as big as it looks on some maps because the way that the north stretches, but it's huge. it's still the biggest island in the world. So I'm like, where am I going in this place? It's be like I could go to like Portland, Maine, or Charleston, South Carolina. Where should I go? But there's this one town called, and it's halfway up on this coast, but it's called Ilulissat, and that means iceberg in the Greenlandic language. And it's next to this fjord, and that's what I'm looking over there. It's the only fjord that touches the interior Greenland ice cap. So 90% of all icebergs that exist in the North Atlantic Ocean come from that one spot.
Wow. Okay.
So it's like this really. It's like have you been to the Grand Canyon?
No, I really want to. My father's been. I've seen pictures, but no.
So I've been lucky to be there too. The only place that could compare to the size of this ice fjord is the Grand Canyon, because it's like 5 miles across and 20 miles deep, and the icebergs are so big. And we took boat rides in between them and stuff. It was really amazing stuff. I've been making some videos on it on my YouTube channel too about some of my trips. So that's how I was able to bring my fans and my people who were the Kickstarter supporters into the adventure. I've been making videos about that and putting them up on the YouTube page as well as the album.
This might be a weird question, but were you able to walk on an iceberg?
You could get close, but I mean,
is that dangerous?
Oh, it's very
it is
crazy dangerous, because they can flip it. They flip at any time, right? And even the big ones don't flip that often, but if they flip, you're dead.
Right.
And so like if you're on the coastline, and those big icebergs, you're in Newfoundland. There's the icebergs are like as big as a house, or maybe 3 or 4 houses together. So big, but not like crazy big. Yeah. And if those flip over, you're in a boat, you can get away from them. But the big ones in Greenland, like if you get close to them, you back up to them. You don't get that close. You're still like about 300 yards away from them. You back up to them with your motor running, because if anything falls off, it makes tsunamis.
Really?
So if the big one flips over, you can't be like 50 feet from the bottom of the shoreline either. So there's like signs everywhere on the trail on the ice fjord. There's like, don't come within like 100 feet of here, because like if something flips over, a tsunami can wash you away.
Wow.
It's a very unsteady, ever-changing landscape.
Nature's the craziest thing, man, because it's so beautiful and it's so destructive.
Yeah, so there's this really cool video right where I was standing, probably right there. There's a video of like a couple years ago of, if you just Ilulissat Greenland iceberg flip. If you look at that on YouTube.
So
right?
This iceberg right here basically is
something like that. Like, there's a constant replenishing of new icebergs.
Wow.
But something like that flipped.
Wow.
And you have to remember that like 800, if that's 200 feet up, there's 600 feet below. And it's really beautiful at first. You're like, this is amazing. And then all of a sudden, when you realize what's happening to the surrounding landscape and how big this wave is, it's this level of, exactly, like, nature's great, but it's terrifying.
Wow.
And it can get terrifying like that.
Were you able to see any of them flip, or?
No, I mean,
I know you can't like set your watch to it or anything, but.
No, and that we saw like little pieces break off. Like that happens all the time, right? Like, so like
right.
A little ice. When I was in Newfoundland, I only saw in Newfoundland, it was a bad summer last year. This summer is actually a fantastic summer in Newfoundland. I mean, that's a lot of tourism goes to Newfoundland in May and June in specific, so this time of the year, to find icebergs. But it was a bad year last year, but I was able to drive. We rented a place with my family, and I one morning drove 10 hours away to the other side of the island and saw an iceberg there. So it was quite an adventure too, Just lots of fun adventures, and they're a beautiful image because they're old, they're ancient. I mean, this water hasn't been. They've been trapped in Greenland for at least 1,000 years, usually 10,000 years. And it's fresh water that's floating on salt water. The people in both Greenland and Newfoundland, they break them up. They capture icebergs and they use it as fresh water. They make ice cubes out of it. In Newfoundland, there's a brewery in the capital city of St. John's that actually makes beer out of the iceberg water that they capture. It's a big tourist thing up there.
Did you try it?
Yeah. It's super fun.
Is it good? I mean, can you tell the difference between?
No, I mean, it tastes like, man, like I've drunken pure iceberg water too. It just tastes like water, but it is water. I mean, like I think there's like a couple like real Richie companies that are making a product because like it's like $100 a bottle for like this stuff imported. But it is water that you can guarantee that is before Industrial Revolution, right? So it is in that sense the purest water in the world.
That's wild.
Which is wild.
Yeah. That's really, really cool. It's such an interesting idea for an album. So did you write all of the songs? Well, so explain that a little bit. Explain the writing process. You didn't record, or did you record? You did say you recorded some stuff there, but we've established not on the iceberg.
On the iceberg, yeah. Yeah.
That's what, when I first read, I said, did he record on an iceberg? And then I started reading. I'm like, well, okay, now that would have been weird. I didn't. That's before I knew they flipped. Yeah, I was just trying to think of the guitar staying in tune.
Yeah, that'd be bad. The Greenland was cold. I mean, we were in Greenland in August. Yeah. And it was like average, like it was 40, like Fahrenheit. You know, that was like the high. It's like, you know, it's August. It's like, you know, and the sun was out until like, the sun was out until midnight, you know, because it's summertime. There's so much sun. Oh, right. But yeah, so the idea was to go on the adventure. And originally, but my original idea was like, I was going to go and record one song by an iceberg someplace and then do the rest in the studio. But because it raised so much, I was able to go to both places. In Greenland, it's hard to get there. It's very expensive, but I was only able to bring my banjo so I brought my banjo. So the two banjo songs, and my sound guy brought a really fancy microphone in his MacBook. So we recorded the banjo, and then we recorded my voices for the first and last song. On the
outside album. Or in the hotel room, or
we recorded it in Airbnb that we got, but the windows just looked open to the bay. So I was recording here, and then there was icebergs everywhere. And
that's cool.
It's really cool, and I haven't even shared that video yet with my. There's going to be a YouTube video about that in the next month or so.
Oh, cool.
Because like there's a video of me like doing my vocals, and we brought down the mattresses. We took all the mattresses in the Airbnb and made this kind of sound booth.
Oh
yeah. And so there's a video of me just doing my vocal takes, and then I went with Eric Lesbrance, who's a great singer-songwriter himself, and he's part of this folk duo called Ash and Eric. They're based in Worcester, but he's filming me, and then we're looking outside, and one of those big icebergs is actually moving towards town, like the size that you just saw, and it's wild. That's why after this, if you want more photos, I can share more photos of like the icebergs with you, because it's hard to. I had high hopes of being impressed by icebergs, but they're so old, and they're all the different colors blues. There's a variance of blue across it. Yeah. So I don't know. They're remarkably beautiful.
It's the one thing I don't want to say surprised about, but I've listened to the album over the last few days, and like the songs aren't, as far as I can tell, they're not all inspired by the iceberg. They're kind of, but it does have that theme that you were talking about, this like healing and growth and reflection and
So there's 3 iceberg songs on the album that specifically talk about it. They kind of like the beginning, the middle point, and then the end point.
Yeah.
The 3 iceberg songs. But even those songs in themselves talk about, they're using the iceberg as that metaphor for mental health, right? Of either floating next to somebody or flipping over, or whatever imagery or thing I'm talking about. And then the other songs were written during that time that I was trying to find healing myself. You know?
So which are the songs that you recorded in Greenland then?
So the first song on the album is called The Iceberg, which is the title track. And then the last song is called Iceberg 2.
Yep.
So those are the 2 in Greenland. And then I recorded the song Chainmail, which is a little song I do on this little dulcimer instrument. And I recorded that in St. John's.
Oh, okay.
And then harmony was layered on afterwards in the studio. You know, the magic part of it.
The thing that struck me with the iceberg song is I don't know, it's not Celtic, right? But it has kind of a. Am I right by saying that, like sort of a Celtic flair?
Yeah, I think if I was describing it, that's how I would describe it. It's not, but it's obviously inspired by that. But I don't know where that comes from, because my wife is Irish. Maybe my kids are Irish. You know.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm not. Well, what really struck me was like the different time signatures in it.
Yeah, it does a 4/4 to a 3/4 thing, right?
Yeah, I totally wasn't expecting it. I was like, oh. I'll tell you what, my favorite song on the whole album. Do you want to know what my favorite song is?
Yeah, of course. I'd love to hear that.
This is the song that I wish that I came up with the idea for, and that you didn't write and that I did. No, I'm just kidding. The Good Kind of Failure is my favorite song.
Yeah, I love that song.
That's
I would
such
have guessed that was your song.
Would you have guessed that?
Yeah, that's what I would have guessed.
It's such a great idea for a song. And also, we were driving to, I'm going to say this wrong, Chelmsford.
You said it right. That's Chelmsford.
Okay. I was calling it Clemsford for the longest time.
Yeah.
We were listening to your album on our way to Chelmsford, and we were slaloming in between pockets of sunshine, downpours, sunshine, rain, and then your windshield wipers song came on, and I just started laughing because I was getting so frustrated turning off the windshield wipers, turning them on, making them go faster, making them slow down, go faster, shut off. So the timing of that song couldn't have been more perfect. But
yeah, that's really fun to hear.
Well, do you want to sing some songs?
Yeah,
since you have your guitar here.
Let's do the song you were just talking about. I wasn't
Which one?
Sure if I was
The windshield wipers? Good kind of failure. Okay. Yeah, I really like that song. I like the whole album, but that's the song that... So what I'm going to do while you sing is I'm going to make myself disappear so the floor will be yours for... You want to sing a couple songs for us?
Yeah, I'll sing 2 songs. That sounds good, Todd.
Perfect. So I'm just going to fade back into the audience here and give you... Oh, wait, I did that wrong. Let's make you take over. There we go.
Hey, everyone. Well, as Todd was saying, this is a song called "The Good Kind of Failure," and I really love this song. I wrote the song part of my songwriting class that I work here at the Respite Center with the adults with disabilities, and it's inspired by my friend Emily, who came in with a story. But I think it's pretty universal, relatable. It's kind of the next single that I'm going to be pushing, so hope you enjoy. I wish there was a word for the good kind of failure, 'cause we all fall down when we first learn how to walk. Holding my hand ain't always doing me a favor. I wish there was a word for the good kind of failure. And I wish it didn't hurt so much when you skin your knee. But it's all just part of being this human company. Some scars are bad, others, they can be lifesavers. I wish there was a word for the good kind of failure. 'Cause each tough lesson learned, it can be your growth well earned. If it can grow your heart. All of life's most precious things goes through seasons of suffering, and we all go through a little failure at the start. Alright, ain't that the truth? Let's go. So when I'm down on the ground, I know you will pick me up. You see, falling over isn't always just bad luck. Without all these trials, how can we grow braver? I wish there was a word for the good kind of failure. Yeah, all right. Well, before I play the next song, looks like my I gotta be smart and plug my battery in. Sorry, Todd. I don't want this to all of a sudden die in the middle of this next song. Doing the thing.
Yeah, technology, man, I tell you. Oh, is that laptop? The laptop needs? Yeah.
It's also the red thing comes on. So hold on. We're gonna
absolutely. Well, while he does that,
I thought I had a lot more battery.
Oh, it happens.
But yeah, I'm so glad that you like that song, Todd. It means a lot.
I love it. I'm gonna bring the album cover up real quick here, so people don't have to watch you be a technical wizard. You know what we'll also do?
All right, we saved the day. We're back.
We saved it. While you're setting up, if people want to listen to the album, whoops, I got to get you back in the frame here. If people want to listen to the album, they can go to. I listened to it on Apple Music, I believe, but it's on Bandcamp and Spotify and.
Yeah, it's on all the sites. Yeah, YouTube Music, Bandcamp, all the stuff. So, you know, put it out there in the world. That's what we do, man. You know?
Yeah, we'll put your website down here as well. Cool. It's not there right now, but through the magic of editing, it will show up. All right, I'm going to disappear again. And
sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right. It's real. See, that's the thing about live music, right?
Well, it's the best part because, you know, like it's the human parts. You know, we need to. Part of the problem with modern music is that it's too perfect. There's nothing to relate to. There's like it's just all these superstars or all this auto tuning out here that nobody can ever get. You know.
Have you seen, not to get off track too much, but have you seen that some of the new releases of the Beatles, they haven't like auto-tuned their voices like T-Pain, but they've like tuned the voices, and people are like, what the hell is wrong with this new remix? It squashed it. It's so weird. Don't even listen to it. It'll make you mad.
Yeah, that would make me real mad. That would make me real mad.
All right, sing another one for us.
Well, I don't think we're meant to have perfect pitch. We're humans, you know? Like, Anyways, we're going to get into this next song. This next song is a song called Synapses Fire, and it is the second song on the album. It was the first single, and it's a lot of fun. I just have a lot of fun playing this. I hope you guys enjoy. Well, through the streets in London, a ghost was born. Spiders on my headphones, the queen was on her throne. It felt good to be alone before the pillars were all torn down. Synapses fire, synapses fire. Synapses fire, synapses fire. Light up the city sky. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. It was June in London in 2004. Life was an open door. The record store in Trafalgar Square. Live this life without a care. All my neurons burn it all down. Synapses fire, synapses fire. Synapses fire, synapses fire. I said light up the city sky. Yeah. Well, through the streets in London, where all the bombs once fell, but it's rebuilt now. The queen reflects the throne, and we never are alone. All the pillars will be reborn. Synapses fire, synapses fire. Synapses fire, synapses fire. Light up the city sky. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Go!
I figure out how to bring my
song called Synapses Fire right there, everyone.
There we go. I had to figure out how to bring myself back. Oh, let's go over here. So the iceberg Worcester Magazine. I got to read a couple of these quotes because you got some great quotes, man.
Some good quotes, yeah.
Genuine folk greatness from the Worcester Magazine.
Worcester Magazine.
My favorite one, WZLX Boston. If heading north and seeing icebergs inspires music this good, then I wish more musicians would do it. That's a good one.
That's a good one. It's a good
I
one.
love it, man.
It's the game. It's the people you know. You know, it's you know.
Oh well, yeah. That's
The press part. The press part's all just a different game. It's the kind of stuff that you wish you had. Like, if I knew what I knew now in my 20s, and I had the organization and the ability to create spreadsheets and do that, like, you know, I would have had more success when I was 20. You know?
So bad. I don't know what your thought is, but like, I am just not. It's not that I'm inept at social media or like a Luddite or anything, but I generally don't. Aside from doing like Coffee with Todd, I'm just not a social media guy, and like I feel like if I feel like that's the great. There's so many things that have changed music. Like you were talking earlier about just overproducing stuff, but like I feel like artists can't just be artists anymore, and artists are not very good at marketing. And the artists that get the most exposure now are the ones that maybe are just better at marketing than, you know. There's got to be somebody out there in the world that is better than Bob Dylan that we've never heard about.
Yeah, the person who never left Minnesota, right? Right. Bob was the one who decided to actually take the chance,
and he was a good self-promoter.
He was a really good self-promoter. He's a really good example of that. And that's 100% the case, you know. Mm-hmm. But I think more specifically nowadays, right? Because at least before, you had a chance of like just being a good enough band or being good enough that you got signed somehow, and then the label could take care of all that stuff, right?
Yes.
But that's gone. And now most people who are having success are on TikTok and all that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I can't. I'm really good at Facebook, but I'm also that demographic, right? Like I'm in my 40s, so like I understand how that works. Mm-hmm. So when I got back from Greenland, on the flight back from Greenland, I started an Instagram account, and I'm like, okay, I need to play the game. I'm going to play the game. I'm not doing TikTok because I'm too old for that.
Me too.
I don't get it.
I don't either.
And I don't want to. It's also like not only that, but like it's also something that I wouldn't allow my kids to have, right? So like if I'm not allowing my kids to have, I wouldn't let them have Instagram either. But anyways, I open up an Instagram page, and like, it's just I don't know what to do with it. Like I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing, but I'm not good at it. Like I'm okay at Facebook, but I'm not. It's like those levels. But anyways, but like these artists, they just really know how to do it. I saw this great concert in Worcester last week. This guy Andy Squires, who's songwriter, and he writes the way he got really successful because he just writes these beautiful compositions on Instagram. Like he just very thoughtful, like, and he got following because of his Instagram page, not because of his songs, you know. He just write just beautiful words of wisdom with Andy, but then people found his songs because of that. But like it's like lightning in a bottle, you know. It's like how do you
they always say that a great song will find its audience, but I don't think that's necessarily true anymore. No. It will. It certainly helps to have a great song, but there's a little bit more to it than that.
Well, I mean, like I think a great song's audience might just be one or two people. It might just need maybe one or two people need to hear it, right? It's like I don't want to be in charge of like who. But it's also I think what you're saying is also true.
Yeah.
There's so many great songs that never get heard by the masses that they deserve to be heard by.
Yeah.
Especially compared to what's out there, you know.
Yeah, it's a being an artist is not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not.
Who are some of your? We're going to wrap up in a few minutes here, but who are some of your influences? I forgot to ask that question before.
Yeah, so my influences. I think it's really important to go all the way back when you're talking influences. So like it was junior high when I fell in love with music, and part of that was because it was I grew up in the early '90s, right? And junior high was in the early '90s, so I was big Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins guy. But they wrote their own songs, you know, like and they wrote that. And my mom had an acoustic guitar. So I began the only songs I could play by Nirvana or Smashing Pumpkins were their acoustic songs, right? And then by mid-high school, I got super into Wilco. So that was the band, and they this is kind of before they were famous. Like this is right after they broke up with Uncle Tupelo, and that was a big band for me. Put me into then following Wilco to like all the Woody Guthrie album and all those old stuff and Bob Dylan. I'm a huge Dylan kind of freak.
Yeah, me too.
But
I think it's a prerequisite of being a songwriter.
Yeah, because it's just like, I mean, yes, and I think you're right. There are people who are better, but he's the person who did it.
Yeah.
Who had the opportunity. A lot of it's opportunity.
What's your take on, so one of my pet peeves is when people say that, oh, Bob Dylan can't sing. Because, like, man, he's not flat and he's not sharp, and those songs are not easy to sing. It's just, that's his voice.
Yeah, and
it's the voice he was blessed with.
I think that is. I feel like I could write a book about this. I've actually written a lot of blogs about the concept of pitch and the concept of singing. He does a fantastic job of expressing humanity in his voice. What else do you want from a singer? He expresses the depths of the human soul. And by his having a unique voice, he has a unique voice, and that's you know, I'd much rather listen to somebody like Dylan or Neil Young, or my other favorites, like even Johnny Cash. I love Johnny Cash. We talk about Ellis Paul. Ellis Paul has a unique voice. He has a really pretty voice, but it's unique.
Yes.
And it sets it apart. But I'd much rather listen to that than, even like as great as Whitney Houston was. It's not like I'm listening to Whitney Houston much because it's beautiful, but it's...
I agree. Yeah, I feel like if Bob Dylan sounded like Gordon Lightfoot, those songs wouldn't have been as...
No, not as powerful.
Yeah. There's something powerful about it.
There's a depth to the realness of the humanity. And that's what I think we're missing a lot in, the modern music, And hopefully there's going to be a reaction to it. Like, I figure, like, the modern, whatever the next punk movement's going to be, might just be people who sing off-key. Just be like, screw it. No more auto-tune. We're gonna just go with it. And all the kids will be like, and all the grandparents will be like, but it doesn't sound in pitch. The kids are like, it doesn't matter. It's so raw.
Right? I really wonder, like, where AI is going to take us and what the opposition to AI is going to be. Yeah. There's already starting to be, like the younger generation are, like, buying CDs. Yeah. Because they're like, we don't own any of this music. Like, if Spotify decides tomorrow, we're done.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, your favorite playlist or albums that you listen to, like, gone, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just as guilty. I haven't bought a CD. I should back that up. I always buy a CD from an artist when I go to see them.
Artists, you see them, and the people you support. But that's different.
But yeah, like when
because you're being supportive,
right? Like if Jason Isbell's new album, like, I didn't buy it. Yeah. I've listened to it 100 times, but 10 years ago I would have bought that album.
Yeah.
It's just it's a different world. But cassettes for some reason are coming back. I don't know if that's a good idea.
That's the one I haven't it's kind of cool, but it's weird.
Yeah, right.
Because vinyl or CDs kind of are better at that.
Yeah. But I wonder what the younger generation is going to do. I wonder if they're going to be sick of the roboticness and the I don't know. It's going to be real interesting to see if real human music thrives or becomes a niche. I don't know, and I couldn't tell you what the answer to that's going to be. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think all of us think about this probably a lot more than the normal person.
Probably.
But I think the great art, what makes great art, the stuff that I love, whether it be like Tolkien, like I love Tolkien, right? And I love Dostoevsky, and I love Bob Dylan, but I also kind of really like Judas Priest and like everything in between, right? Like all this stuff. But it's real. It's real art. It's digging into it. It's not perfect. It's not robots. It's the opposite of robots. Like humans, we're not robots. And the more that I do believe, the more that AI pushes robots, I think you might have maybe even the majority of the population will go with the robots for a foreseeable future. But there's so many people in this world and so many people who are hungering for real literature, real art, real whatever, that it's going to be found because that's what's needed. the purpose of art, the purpose of what we're doing, the purpose of you as a songwriter, or as a comic, or as me, is to shed light on this human experience and to make it easier for us to get along and easier for us to live, right? And to find hope and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, like a robot's not going to do that for you.
No.
You know, it's just not.
No, and commerce will always be part of it, and commerce is largely driving the AI thing, but you and I don't do this for the commerce part of it, I suppose.
No.
Or at least I don't think so.
Nope, definitely not.
But I'm sure you wouldn't turn down $50,000 to play at the Newport Folk Festival.
No, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Probably, I'm sure there's some things like, you know, would you pay, you know, we all have our morals. But yeah, it'd be nice to make some money. It's fun. It's like, you know, like, cause putting out an album's expensive, and doing the Kickstarter was great. But like, I'm just like last week, I'm like positive for the year. Like, hey, like, my head's above water with all the fees and all that stuff, and all the other like the T-shirts and albums and the recording engineer.
Creating an album did not get any cheaper, even though purchasing music became obsolete.
No, it actually inflation at least, right? It's actually got up 10-15% since my last one. So hey, you know.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to invite you to be part of the first inaugural one. I just thought of this. I had an epiphany while we were talking. I live in Newport, Vermont.
Yeah.
And the Newport Folk Festival for the past 10 years has pretty much not even been a folk festival.
Yeah,
it's just popular music.
Yeah.
Alternative, indie, you know, artists, you know, but I'm going to create a folk festival here, and I'm going to call it the Other Newport Folk Festival.
It's pretty good.
And I'm going to have actual folk musicians come to it.
I think that's great.
I'm going to lose so much money. It's going to be great. I think we need that though.
It needs a response. I mean, we need, we, in the past week, the two of us have actually played at a similar venue, in Chelmsford. And it was just a beautiful, like I was at an open mic last night, and you played a featured slot there, but like there was rooms of like there was 40 people there, and they were listening, and it was glorious.
It's the best.
They were listening, they were experiencing the art. We were all experiencing the art together. There's something about that, you know. It's just powerful. It's what we're made to do, you know. There's fun to go to big festivals and be with 10,000 people, but that's not real humanity. Real humanity is like this, like little 50 people. You're all there together. You see each other's faces. You see the artists. You can interact with them afterwards. It's powerful. It's we live in a great time of loneliness. It's one of the worst things about modern society.
Yes.
And it's our job to. This is kind of like a flamethrower against loneliness, you know.
Oh my gosh, that should be your Woody Guthrie sticker.
Flamethrower against
this flamethrower defeats loneliness.
It defeats loneliness. It's pretty good, actually.
That's a lot, but you should do it.
Yeah, that's pretty
good. I don't put stickers on my guitar though. I don't know about you.
No, never have.
I don't know. I mean, Woody Guthrie was pretty hilarious. Like half those guitars weren't even his. He'd lose them or just give them to people. He'd put stickers on them. He'd borrow them. He'd give them back to people broken. And then, like, if you're anything like me, in Chelmsford, I was walking through the space into like the office. They were gonna let me use that as like a green room to change, and I had my brand new guitar on, and I slammed it into the door, and there's a gash right on the front of it now, and I was like, ah, you know. And then I look at Woody Guthrie's guitars, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Or I just saw a thing the other day with Steve Poltz, and they showed a close-up of his guitar, and it's like, whoa! It's like it got run over by a tank, I think.
Yeah. It's amazing how... I think the thing I'm most careful about is fingers, right? I'm sure you're similar. Like, when I hurt a finger, I'm, like, terrified. If I hurt my leg, I'd be like, oh, this stinks. But, like, fingers, like, this fear. And then, like, this guitar... I love, but my guild that I should have played, it's like, you know, I've had it since '96. It's the guitar my parents bought me. You know, It's like I love it to death.
Well,
I'm going back in the house. The house is on fire. As long as I have a good enough chance to make it back out, I might be like lunging in just for that, and then I'm out.
I think about that all the time. I'm like, I have to buy a good case for these guitars so I can throw them through the window if I need to.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to have you on the show again, and you can play the guild, and maybe we'll get you up to Newport Maybe not for the other Newport Folk Festival, but
hey, bring it. That's a great idea.
It's actually not a bad idea. I think we should, yeah. But we'll get you up here because I want to start bringing some of my friends that do what I do up here to sing for my community, because what we do is different than what's offered in this area. You live in a much more populated area, so up here it's cover bands and it's that kind of thing. So this is kind of an anomaly. So I need to bring my friends up here because there are people that love it, and we should give it to them. So let's talk.
Let's talk. It's awesome.
Let's get you up here sometime, and maybe or not, we'll call it the other Newport Folk Festival, but we'll just get you up here anyway.
I love it. Hey, man, this has been a wonderful conversation, and thanks for doing this, and thanks for highlighting local singer-songwriters. And this is building community, too, because the people who watch this, if you're watching this, get out there, play. Just go to music. Go see local music. It's good for your soul. It's good for the artist's soul. It's good for you. It's good for the world. And
playing guitar is one of the most rewarding and frustrating things you'll ever do.
Well, when you start, you don't put it down. I mean, that's what my life has been since I was 13.
I hear you.
This is me now.
So let's plug the album before. So I'll bring up the cover, and this is The Iceberg by Dan Cloutier. Did I say that right?
Yeah, great, man.
Yes. And where can they find it? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so it's streaming everywhere. My name is Dan Cloutier, so Cloutier. It's French Canadian. You might know it as Cloutier if you're in Quebec, or if you're living in Vermont, right? Because Vermont is much closer to Quebec than
we're right here. Yeah,
you're right there. Lots of Cloutiers up there. But Cloutier. So my website is dancloutier.com. The album's called The Iceberg. You can search basically anywhere on any music stream like Spotify, The Iceberg Dan, and then it will probably get you to me too. So
perfect.
Thanks, man.
All right, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Super great talking to you, Todd.
You too, man. Cheers.
All right, bye.
All right. There he is. There he was. There he is and was.
That was great.
Yeah. Definitely check the album out. We've listened to it. I just wrap my fingers up in my cables here. Yeah, we're gonna. I think I like the idea of the folk festival. Maybe we'll start small. Maybe we'll just pick like one or two artists a year, and we'll find a little venue that we can bring them to, and have them sing. That would be fun. Yeah, we did that. We had Shannon address here. Yeah, maybe we can get her back up here. Yep. And we get Dan here. Maybe we can get
that'd be great.
Sam here. Maybe we get a bunch of people here. Let's bring folk to the NEK. Right, folks? All right. We're over time. I always do that when I have a guest on. I always tell the guest, we'll talk for 35, 40 minutes. Yeah. But I like talking, I guess.
No way.
I do.
That was fun. How you connect, how you learn.
That's right. All right. Where am I singing? I'm singing here. Whoa. In a few weeks. Where am I singing? I'm singing all over. I got this show. I got that show. I got that other show.
What other show?
I got that one over there and this one over here. I got that one next door, and that one up the stream. Look at all those shows.
The stream?
Sure. I got all those shows. Oh. I love it. What's that? Oh, wait, hold on. No. Well, oh well.
Ready? Right there. Top one.
What?
Top one.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Tim just bought his ticket to the Conway show. Yay! Be like Tim. Buy a ticket to the Majestic Theater in Conway, New Hampshire with Livingston Taylor. Be like Tim.
Be like Tim and support the show.
Yeah, do it. Oh yeah, you can also support the show with our fancy PayPal links and our Venmo links right there, huh? Right? Yeah. PayPal me or Todd Pronto Venmo me. Tips are appreciated. This show's free, but it's not free for me. Anyway, that's the show. I think it's time to wrap up. What a great show that was.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Tim. Other Tim. He says, great show.
Yeah.
Tim, you met Aaron. Is that Rose? Yeah, it is. Tim, you met Dan. He said that, I think you met him. He said that he came to the open mic in Chelmsford. Paul says blues and folk festival. Ah. Well, maybe. They have to do it solo acoustic blues, though, because I'm not paying for a big sound system. All right. Let's wrap this up. You want breakfast?
Yes, please. My stomach's growling over here. I don't know if they heard it on the...
I could hear it.
You could.
Dan could hear it all the way in Massachusetts.
Oh, poor Dan.
Thanks to my guest, Dan Cloutier. I said it the French way.
Yeah,
Cloutier. Check him out online, dancloutier.com. And The Iceberg is out right now wherever music is streamed. Be safe. Be well. Next week we have maybe the video from the Chelmsford show. Maybe. I think. I'm going to try. I got a lot of editing to do. I don't know if I'll be able to get it done. Danielle still has to send me all the videos she took because my GoPro got dead during the show.
It was a no-go.
It was a no GoPro. So if that's not on next week, it'll be on the week after. But anyway, be safe, be well. Thank you to Dan for joining us, and thank you for watching. And we will see you all again next week, right here, same time, same place, on Coffee with Todd. I love you guys. Go enjoy the sunshine. This might be the only day we get. Cheers, everybody.